Hello everyone. Sorry for the little shaky. Welcome replay viewers. Welcome current viewers. Thanks for hopping in. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we have been modifying Apologia's anatomy and physiology this year. So come on in. All right, let me get this set up. Hi guys. Oh, hi Jamie. Oh, I'm sorry, getting the tripod set up. I just saw Jamie hop in. Oh, my dad's here. Hi Dad. That's fine guys. I know it's dinner time. You can catch replays. If this isn't even a topic that pertains to you this year, you know, that's the thing with Periscopes. Just hop in and out at your leisure. No need to explain. We are all moms here. Oh, Daisy, that is who's going camping in Asheville. Oh, good. I just missed what the handle was. I saw the name, so I missed it. But hi, guys. Oh, hi, Sarah. Welcome. Catching live. It's always fun to catch live. I was away in Florida, and I've been watching a bunch on Catch, but it's been nice. Starting today, I've really started to catch some people live, and that has been a lot of fun. So that is good. You're going to go camping at Mama Gertie's. Oh, good. And I hope you find some fun waterfalls and things to explore out there. All right. So let me start by introducing myself. My name is Mary. I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 kids. They are 13, 11, 7, and I'm sorry, 13, 11, 9, and 7. And, oh, good. Okay. Well, just stay around. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the book. And I'm going to say that, but I'm just going to show one thing that I'm good at is modifying curriculum instead of freaking out and just kind of making it ours. So I'm going to show you what we did with that today. And hopefully it will eventually go on my blog. I am not before 7 on Instagram, on the blog world, and Facebook. I'm not before 7 everywhere. Though these days it's more like not before 8. All right, so this year for science, we chose to do Apologia Anatomy. And I don't know if you know anything about Apologia, but the textbooks are for K through 6th grade. And they're pretty detailed. They believe instead of like covering a lot of science topics a little bit every year, they really dive deep. I have to be honest, the anatomy has gone a little too deep for me. I'm not even at the point of reading it all out loud to my kids anymore. So here's what we do. We get together with a friend every 2 or 3 weeks. Tar Heel Mom, who might be on here still. And we just do fun activities that cover the chapter and usually an art lesson, though today my art activity kind of just went with the science. So this is for chapter 9 and 10 in Apologia, or for anyone who is studying the nervous system, the brain, spinal cord, nerves, all of that stuff. So, you know, some people love it, Jamie, so I'm just sharing my honest opinion. It just hasn't worked for me. I have done the astronomy one and the botany one. The botany one I loved because it was my first year of doing Charlotte Mason, but somebody else might read it and be like, whoa, this is way too deep for some 3rd graders, because it is really deep. But for me, it's where I was in my journey with Charlotte Mason, and it felt so amazing to be out in nature and studying plants that I think I loved it. And so maybe it's just where I am, but it's just feeling way too deep studying some of this anatomy, just way beyond my kids. So I think sometimes it's just what hits you and what's making you excited. And for me, this just isn't making me excited this year. Though, like I said, the botany one that I've heard a lot of complaints about, I loved the botany one. So it's just different people. But here's how we have changed it. Not really changed it, but addressed that boring part of it. And Jessica and I are kind of making it work together. So here's what I did today. What I have been doing now, and I'm going to try to keep doing, is I read chapters 9 and 10 myself. And then I made a note sheet from that for the kids. I don't think I have a blank one. This is one that a child filled out. So I decided, of all the information in those chapters, what are some things that we could talk about? So we have the central nervous system versus the peripheral nervous system. They filled in PNS, CNS. this is the brain and the spine. And on this side, we have that this is spread out all over your body. We talk about it being connected with cranial and spinal nerves. And then they even went into the somatic and the autonomic nervous systems, and we filled that in and talked about those. So you could see this. Oh, thank you, Alicia. I never, right, you learned this in college. See what you're saying? I don't remember this depth in even high school. So we just went over this. Instead of reading the depth of information in the book, I kind of summarized it, let the kids fill that out, and we just talked about it. And then, thank you, I'm going to show that. And then Apologia, I will give it to them. This particular book has had some fun hands-on activities. So we tricked our somatic nervous systems by, they put their hands out and then you twist your hands and you have someone point to a finger and you try to lift that finger. And they point kind of above it, like that finger there, try to lift it. And yeah, I'm lifting the wrong one. See, I'm lifting over here. I'm getting the wrong hand. So we kind of talked to the kids about how we confused our own brain and nervous system by switching our left and right and twisting it around. And that was just kind of a fun thing to do. So I've been trying to kind of do a little bit of note-taking time and then a little bit of activity time and kind of break it up because it's a lot of information to take in. But that way they're having fun with it while they're learning about it so that they're not looking at the book the way I am going, oh my goodness, this is so boring. So that's what we did. And then one of our other activities, I'm going to go a little out of order, is we made a neuron. So we talked, this is with pony beads. I found this on Pinterest. I probably have it pinned on my science board. But these are the dendrites of a neuron. And this is the cell body. We talked about how the nucleus was in there. This is the axon. I think I'm saying all this right. And the synaptic terminal down here at the end. So this just gave them a little bit of art with their science and trying to stick the idea of a neuron there after we talked about neurons. So that was kind of a little activity. So yeah, you kind of get to see it. And then what I really... Exactly, Jamie. I'm only reading parts of it aloud to my kids, and I kind of summarize it because I pre-read it. But then when we get together with Jessica's kids, I'm kind of reviewing and summarizing for everyone. To be honest, I had only read parts of chapter 9 out loud to my kids before we got together today. We were behind. So I kind of summarized chapter 10 right in there with it, and I'll read the parts I didn't get to tomorrow to them. I told Jessica, I said, hey, I didn't cover anything on the spine, so you just need to cover that if you want. So what I love about this is then we can put keychains on this, or they can keep them around the house, and then you're kind of talking about things you learned, and everyone remembers, oh, this is a neuron. In fact, Daniel got on the sofa today, and he was playing with mine, and I was like, Daniel, you are getting on my nerve. So we've kind of made it into a joke, like getting on each other's nerves. We have the neurons. Okay, that was just a little pun because I kind of liked it. So then we decided to talk about the brain. And if you are Jessica, my friend who does it with me, at Halloween on clearance, got these little squishy brains from Michael's. So that was entertaining because the kids, played and squeezed the squishy brain while I was talking. So finding some fun visual stuff for them is really helpful. And then yes, if you are on Instagram or Facebook following Not Before 7, you'll see that I ordered a white swim cap, and I did wear this. And I labeled the lobes of the brain on this side. This will kill your Sharpie markers. Apparently drawing on latex just immediately dries them out, and they're not working on paper anymore. So I'm going to try to run them underwater or see what I can do, but at least I got this part done. And Lord knows I love an excuse to buy more Sharpies. So on this side, I didn't label it all. I was debating having all the kids make one, but from what I read online, the Sharpie markers could get really messy. And I was just trying to picture how I was going to do that. It was a lot easier than I thought. I could have had all the kids make one. And this would have been a lot more fun than the paper we wrote this on. It wasn't as hard, except for the fact it would have dried out a lot more of my markers, which was kind of a bummer. So yeah, the swim cap brain. So it would have been fun to have all the kids make it, but you have to decide how many Sharpies you're willing to give up. in order to do that activity. So, and then you can just wear, I'll show you. I'll be brave here on Periscope and give you all a swim cap look. Yeah, see? So it was kind of fun, and the whole time I talked, I wore this on my head so I could point to the lobes as we were talking about them. I know, kind of crazy. Whew, okay. Little swim cap hair. All right, so then we went through the lobes, and then what I had done on a piece of paper for me is I had taken notes about what I wanted to tell them about the lobes, but I didn't make them write all this down. So they just wrote the names of the lobes that you see in bold there, and then I just shared with them information about the lobes. And honestly, my kids watch so much brain games that they think the brain is fascinating anyway. We love, if you have not seen Brain Games on Netflix, oh my goodness, fantastic, fascinating, and it's like a 23 little minute show. Oh, okay, Alicia, I hope to. I have such good intentions of getting it all on the blog, but Periscope is so much easier for me. But my goal tonight is to get Poetry Tea Time set up and this one, so I will get them on there. Oh, Karen, look up Brain Games on Netflix. 20-minute show all about the brain and how you can trick your brain because of how it works. There's some on optical illusions and on food, and they had a whole thing on eyewitnesses and why people can be deceived in what they swear they saw happen. It is fascinating. Okay, I didn't realize we had so many people. Alicia, what were you if you did anatomy and physiology? Oh, I don't know if it's on kids. I think we only watch regular for the most part because we only have Netflix in the main room of the house, so they just get on the regular. So definitely look it up. And Alicia, what was your occupation before it was homeschool mom? And maybe you're still involved in it, nursing or psychology education major. Oh, okay. And you took anatomy. That's interesting. I didn't take anatomy as an education major. All right. Then we talked about the brain, and then we played some brain games ourselves. So one of, psychology for the psychology major. I didn't get a major in that, so I only took educational psychology. One of the things we did was test our reaction time. Take a ruler, put the 1 centimeter down, and have the kid open their hand like this, and their partner holds it right here at the top finger, and then at any point they want, they drop the ruler, and the kid sees when their reaction time was. They can kind of measure how many centimeters passed before they actually grab the ruler. We heard several hit the floor the first time. Didn't respond at all. So that was a lot of fun to just kind of play with reaction time. That was an idea from the Apologia book or notebook. I forget. The book actually comes with these like Charlotte Mason style notebooking journals, which we've loved in the past. But again, this one's just getting overwhelming. But at the end of each lesson, they include activities that aren't in the textbook. So it's worth it. They're expensive. Oh, thank you, Alicia. It's worth it to at least buy one journal if you're going to do something like I'm doing and you're going to put together your own ideas because it'll give you more to pull from. I actually spent the money on buying 4. So if you want to talk about homeschool guilt. Hey, Daniel, Trey is at the door. You want to tell him that David's outside? Sorry, we have a neighborhood child knocking at the door. Let me go ahead and tell them that my son is outside. Hey guys, David's outside somewhere. Check out back. All right. Okay, back to this. Let me see what other... Oh, I'll show you the last activity. The last I'm thinking of. So we talked about the fluid around the brain and how the brain is protected. So what I did is I cracked 2 egg yolks into Tupperwares. This is after the experiment, by the way, what you're seeing. So there was an egg yolk perfectly intact in both of these containers. Oh, thank you. I will look that up. Science in the beginning. And then what we did, I, by the way, packing taped these shut because I just pictured us dropping them and egg splattering all over my house. That would have been a more interesting scope, but not one I wanted to have. So this one has just the egg in it, nothing else. So they held it up. Oh, thank you, Jessica. Maybe I'll put them on my blog. And they dropped it. And of course, the brain, the egg splattered. So then what we did, so this was just this kind of the skull and the brain. Then what we did in this one is we added in, what is the fluid called? Cerebrospinal fluid. See, this is why I write it all down in my notes to tell the kids. We filled this one with water. So I put the egg in first, we had the nice intact yolk, and then I filled this one with water to represent the cerebrospinal fluid that under your skull that protects your brain. And then we dropped this one from the same height, and you can see the brain, the yolk, is still intact. So I was actually really excited about this one because I didn't try it beforehand, and I was really glad it worked. Because I hate when you're trying to prove a point to the kids, and then they drop it, and I'm thinking, there is no way that yolk is staying intact. Bam, yolk is intact. I actually think I'm gonna let them drop it from a higher distance now at some point tonight just to see, does it really work? Because the book says then about 18 feet. And I was like, no way. So we did it about 5 or 6 feet. But at least the point was made that this one cracked and this one didn't. So we could discuss the protection of the fluid that protects your brain. It also tells you in the book how to find your dominant ear, your dominant eye, your dominant foot. And it tells you some quizzes online that your kids can take to see if they're more left or right-brained. But I really tried to emphasize with the kids that even if you have a tendency to left or right-brainedness, as most of us do, to not feel like that means you're not good at the other side. So I just want to make sure they realize that kind of thing. I don't want them to like pigeonhole themselves as left or right brain so early in life, though most of the kids kind of knew what their tendency was anyway. But I shared with them that I've always been very left-brained. I taught math, very logical, very, very left-brained. And twice in the past year, I've had people say something to me about being so right-brained. And it's been interesting. So I just share that with them to tell them, you know, you can develop that other side. It doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that you have a tendency toward one. And you can take quizzes online at the apologia.com site. We talked about gray and white matter. But I think those were all the fun activities I was going to show you, and I will definitely try to get all of this on my blog for you. But it was really fun, and I think it's just an example of even when you're finding your curriculum maybe isn't exciting you right now or not working for you, just put it down, walk away, and I mean, sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you might need to go to something else, but I find a lot of times I can just step back and think of how can I make this work for us? How can I make this feel less like drudgery? And the kids going, ugh, we have to read that again. And just kind of change it up. And that's what we did. And we had a fun time. Though we have been doing this the whole way, it's just recently I haven't been reading the chapter to them ahead of time. I've just been letting this be the lesson and getting some easier books from the library. So we read an Usborne book, See Inside the Body, and we read the whole section on the brain and the nervous system. And I've requested some books on the nervous system from the library, and I feel like I probably could have done that. That intimidated me, the idea of not having the spine, though my friend Jessica is awesome at that kind of stuff, and it's actually what we were supposed to do last year, and I kind of wimped out and freaked out and never got around to it. But this has been at least kind of a spine with the notes ready for me to take off from. So that's all I had to share. Show the little nerve again, Neuron. I like him. All right. I'd love science suggestions. My kids are 13, 11, 9, and 7. And I will say this is 6. Sorry. This is way over the 6-year-old's head. But he really enjoys the get-togethers. And I just try to keep it boiled down to the basics for him and the things he can remember. It's definitely more for the 13-year-old, but I'm guessing Apologia says it's K through 6th. So it's just their philosophy of science. They dive deep. So somebody said, Karen, you said a science. Now I want to grab a pen. Let me get a pen. Oh, thank you, Alicia. That is very nice. That makes me feel good because someone who actually knows about the brain approves of the lesson. That's always a good sign. Science in the beginning. Somebody said science in the beginning. Is anybody else using something that you think is kind of worth looking up? I'm particularly concerned for my 8th grader next year, but we love doing science together. So things that I could do with all 4 of them, even if I had to modify on one end or the other, would be awesome. All right. I guess this is the part where I'll just kind of wait and see if anyone has. Okay, that's by Jay Wild. Oh, I've heard of him. I think he spoke at a convention I went to once. Maybe not. Maybe I just saw the curriculum there. If you know me, you know I always have iced tea. The big get together, like I showed you today with all of like the summary, we were trying to do get together every 2 weeks. So we were doing a chapter every 2 weeks. So what I was finding worked for me is week 1, I read history, story of the world, and focused on that. And week 2, I read science. And somewhere in week 2, we had our get together that kind of reviewed everything we were reading. So if you read like 2 or 3 pages a day, you can get through the chapter in a week. And then the next week I had off and I would just do history. And I was alternating. Okay, I'll have to look at that. I'm hearing a lot. That must be the same guy. WILDE is, I'm guessing, or is maybe that a different one? Exploring Creation for Physical Science. Science Mania Week. Every so often. That's really cool. That's a great idea. Like just dive into a topic. Science Mania. See, I need to write just that thought down because I'm starting to think about next year and what I want to change. And I have liked the idea, especially as I've gotten more comfortable with being a little more relaxed, thanks to Brave Writer, with maybe just taking a week and doing all week. Yeah, just doing a whole week of science. That would be cool. And my oldest, who's not usually interested in much academically, definitely not science or history, really not a whole lot of it, is suddenly fascinated with the idea that she might really love marine biology. So yeah, no math. That's awesome. Says the math teacher. Don't do enough. Yeah, these are the subjects they love. And I remember reading a news article one time. I forget what country. It's probably Finland, or it was something over in Scandinavia. And they were just talking about how they don't even teach phonics or anything till 8 because they do all science and history and all these things that engage, and art, things that engage the creative side of the brain before they even worry about introducing phonics and the rules and spelling and reading. And I found that a really interesting thing to think about, even as my kids have gotten older, thinking that as my 7th grader is developing all that reasoning and that ability to talk through topics, that science and history are great places to do that. So I feel like I could do them more justice and still be hitting enough school to make them have a well-rounded education and not worry so much about the grammar book and the this and the, you know, everything you kind of start lining up in your head. So I like the idea of a science mania. How often, if you're still on here, how often do you do it? I don't think it was Liz. I think it was someone else. How often do you do that? Like every 2 months or every 3 months? Like what would that look like in terms of planning? Maybe every 5, okay. It was Karen who said it, every 5 weeks. Okay. So like have 5 weeks of school and then a week of science dive in. I kind of like that. I was thinking next year of doing like 6 weeks of school and then 1 week off. Because I'm thinking if I had that week off to plan the next 6, we would probably have a more creative, inventive time in those 6 weeks than me just trying to do school every week, because I feel like all the kids in school are doing it every day. So I would have to think about how maybe a week of science would fit into that, but maybe that could be the last week and then a week off, and I could kind of re-prepare the next 6 weeks of everything. Though I will admit, I'm a math teacher. The week off, you'll still do math. And because we do Brave Writer, Arrow, and Boomerang book clubs, they would do reading. So week off would look like a week off for me, where they're basically just doing the next lesson in their math book and whatever their Brave Writer stuff is, because that doesn't take a whole lot of planning anymore. And you're right, math is in science. And if I had the time to really dive in for a week and plan a really cool unit, gosh, you could incorporate so much. Creative forte. That's sounding good to you too. 6 weeks on, 1 week off. Wouldn't that be awesome? So I feel like that would be cool. And you're right. I could just, in that week of science, hit so many other subjects. Really, you could get all the math. You could do graphing and calculations. Karen, that's a great idea. 1 week every 5. Okay, Shanita from Maryland. Oh my gosh, that's where I'm from, Shanita. I lived in Columbia, Maryland, and Ellicott City, Maryland, and Halethorpe, Maryland. I was born in Halethorpe and then moved to Howard County, and I just moved here to Raleigh 2 years ago. So Maryland has still been my home for so long. Yes. New Carrollton. Oh, okay, that was my I would go there for the subway stop. We would hop on the train there and catch it into DC. So I know New Carrollton well because we would be listening to that on our subway stop. That is so fun. Well, welcome, Sharnita. I'm not sure if you've been in here on the Scopes before, but I'm glad you joined in. This has been a lot of fun. How many kids are you homeschooling? Right across. Ah, that is awesome. You can just hop in and go down to DC. I'm sure that has some of its downsides too, with either noise or traffic or lights, but man, you are like in a homeschooler's paradise, living right there next to the subway station, directly down to DC, homeschooling 2 girls. Okay, well, welcome. I am glad you're here with us. So thank you guys for all these great ideas. This has given me a lot to think about, and I will try to get it up on the blog. And Alicia, this will inspire me knowing that you are going to share it with all your friends. Yay, green hearts. Oh yeah, the Metro is expensive. The Metro is so expensive. Once I had 4 kids, I'll be honest, we drove in most of the time. I have a big 12-passenger van, and I started finding that finding parking wasn't all that hard. So, oh my gosh, Alicia, you totally inspired me. When I want to procrastinate and like dawdle around the house, I don't even know what I do when I procrastinate. I get nothing done. I'm going to be like, no, I'm getting this done. So thank you all, and thanks for joining. Hopefully you will find this information all on the blog tonight, maybe in a video of the egg drop, since Jessica has that, and I'll put it all together. And thanks for sharing your ideas, and hope to see you all again around the scoping world soon. Thanks, Liz. The shower cat was fun. And you know what? It was only $2 on Amazon.com. It was one of those add-on items that you can add on for $2. So well worth it if you are going to do the brain. Well worth it. Yeah, me too. It was nice meeting you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for all the hearts. Bye-bye. Oh, I don't like to be looking at me when I stop the broadcast. So we will just look at that brain hat and stop there.